Welcome back to another epic studio tour. Today we're going to go to East Nashville to hang out with my friend Daniel Dennis. Now, I've seen Daniel on Instagram. This is how I find a lot of these studios, by the way. Daniel has a really cool story, really cool space. It's a home studio. It's a really unique setup. He's had it for over 10 years now. I'm really excited. So thank you, Daniel, for inviting us out. I'll put links to Daniel down in the description. Give him a follow. His website and Instagram and all that stuff are down there. Also, big thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. In this little ad read here, I wanted to shout out something that all of us in our studios use, but it's not a mic, it's not a piece of gear or an instrument or something like that. It's something far sexier, arguably far more important. It's a hard drive. So if you didn't know, Sweetwater has an entire content creator side of their website where you can get everything from hard drives, USB hubs, you can get cameras, literally lights, all this cool stuff that I use in my videos. You can get all that stuff from Sweetwater, but the things that are super important to me, and we're literally waiting for one to get delivered, is a 4 terabyte solid state hard drive. I actually have a bunch of these myself. I'll put one right on the screen so you can see. This is the best deal you can get on a solid state drive of this size. I couldn't believe the price on it and had to get it to see if these drives were any good. I am now using one for my sounds library, one for my A working drive, my B working drive, now one for my assistant and one for my wife. We've been using them for over 2 years and they're rock solid. So if you're looking to pick up a new solid state drive, if you didn't know, you can get this stuff on Sweetwater. It's a little bit long of an ad read, but super important stuff. So I'll put a link to the drive that I'm talking about, as well as the big 40 terabyte RAID that I use from Glyph down in the description. Thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring this video. This tour is super fun, and just before we jump into it, I want to give you a little behind the scenes here. We're doing some drum sessions here in my studio, and we're going back to this little room technique with the baffles. I would not recommend this, but leaning the baffle right up against the mic like this for the room mics, pointed out away from the drums. It's sounding super duper cool, really fun. And one more shameless plug, if you want to book some drums, you can go to my website, link down in the description, book some drums, there's some drum samples, a bunch of stuff down there, check it out. Now let's go check out Daniel's epic home studio setup.
Hey, I'm Daniel Dennis. I'm a producer here in Nashville, Tennessee, and welcome to my studio. Let's start over here into the live room first. So This is where I'm doing majority of the tracking. I'll do acoustic guitars. I have my vocalist here in front of the microphones. And then this is where I play drums. And I've actually got my laptop set up over here to control my computer. So I've got that on a screen share. So that's been very nice to have, and just pull up the session and I can edit things right there and keep moving forward.
Dude, this is great. This is a big room too.
Yeah, it sounds great. This is a early 90s Pearl Masters custom, which kind of a cool story. My grandparents used to give me their pocket change growing up. So anytime we would visit, they would have this big old jar and I would take it home, sit on the floor, roll up, quarters, dimes, and just all the coins, and we would take it to the bank and just deposit it. Never spent any of the money. And I started playing when I was 8 years old. I don't come from a musical family at all, so it's kind of cool that my parents saw something musical in me, and so they put me in drum lessons at 8. And started off with a snare drum, then I had like a Thor drum kit. It's like just kind of an off-brand. And it was about 3 years in, I went to my parents, I'm like, I think I'm ready for like a big boy drum kit, And so I had enough money saved up from all that loose change from all the years it's sitting in the bank to purchase this drum kit. So it's definitely proven to be a good investment over the years.
All right, save your pennies, kids.
That's right.
That's great. So what do we got? 22, is that 12 or 13?
We got 13, 16,
13, 16.
20 on the kick.
Oh, 20, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it looks big.
Sounds
Maybe
big.
It's the rack.
Yeah, I think it's the classic 80s rock rack,
Yeah, dude.
And then I got a few other snares that are over there too with the Pearl Masters custom. I've got a Slingerland that one of my friends gifted to me, which was super nice. And I got a little 13-inch up on the top.
I was gonna say, what's that top one? Is that
It's
like a Craviata?
Mark Skolman. How do you pronounce his name? He's a drummer I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But let's see, yeah.
Oh, it's a Gretsch.
There's the bench.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's cool for like just really good, gospel pop kind of sounding stuff.
Nice. All right, we
And
got
of course,
all the.
Of course, we have the kids' drumsticks when they come in here. I've got 5-year-old twins, so I've got their hearing protection over here ready to go, and they'll just kind of swoop in and play for about 30 seconds or so and rock out, and they're like, okay, I'm good, and they'll drop their stick somewhere, you know.
Yep. That's cool. Oh, okay. So what are these 184s on the top?
Yeah, 184s. And man, I have tried every configuration, multiple microphones, space pair, and there's just something about an XY with the 184s that just really works for the room. So that's been my setup for many years, and it's just good on everything.
XY and some pencil condensers, man.
Boom, got them.
Nothing more consistent.
Yep. 421s on the toms, SM7B on the hat, classic 57 on top of the snare. I've got a D112 on the bottom.
Hey, shout out to Jake Reed and
shout out to
Will.
Greasy Will.
Oh, God.
I saw him do that. I just had one laying around. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw it underneath there, and hey, you know, it does a thing.
Yeah, shout out to Greasy Will, who just finally, I've convinced him, he's got a YouTube channel now.
Yes.
So we can all watch him complain on YouTube.
Heck yeah. Has he got a podcast too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love him on TikTok. And just got a Beta 52, and then the warm audio. Was it the
47 FET?
Yeah, 47 FET on the outside.
Yeah, that puppy sounds good too.
And then probably my favorite is this AEA.
Oh yeah.
The
Got a nice
R88.
low too.
Yeah, Mark II. And dude, when I tell you this transformed my drum sounds, the room sound is just incredible at how much it just glues everything with the kit. So this has definitely been one of my favorite purchases for my drums and for the recording.
That's so cool. Right out front too. It's nice. You got the length of the room. What is this? 18, 19 feet
Yeah,
long?
yeah, about 19.
By
You're
what?
good.
17? Something like that?
It's like what is it? 11? Is it 11 maybe? No, 14 by
Oh, okay, yeah.
19 and a half. Something like that. But when I built it out, I know you're not supposed to have parallel walls.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I really want to maximize the space and just focus on acoustic treatment.
Yeah.
To like, you know, mold it to what I need it to be. And it's proven to be a great room for it.
Well, that's also a very realistic, you know, not everyone is going to, I mean, even if you build something out and you start getting quotes from designers, or you have the luxury of getting a quote from a designer, it's like 20 grand for the quote or whatever, and it's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a firm believer in find something good that you can work with and then work with it.
Exactly, yeah.
Figure it out, be an audio engineer.
Yeah.
All right, so vocal area here,
Yeah,
this
vocal
is nice.
area. I've got the hearback system over here with everybody's favorite knob, the More Me knob.
Oh, nice.
You gotta have that right there.
All right, let's look at how you got this laid out. This is,
Yeah, so just main mix, we got a separate click, and then, just the More Me and the overall. That's pretty much all you really need. And then just mono, and then I can assign whatever I need to on channel 7 and 8, and
I love that.
good to go, full control.
That's great. I might have to try to make the hearbacks work. I have the P16s right now, and it's just too many. You know, you get a singer and they're like, which one do I
Yeah.
oh, well, you click the thing, you see when it turns green, that's you, click that, but then you gotta reach over. It's like,
Just, yeah.
the more
it looks
me.
more complicated.
More me is so right for an artist.
More Me, overall volume, twist these till it gets it right, and you're there, you know?
Exactly. Cool.
And then as far as microphones, probably my all-time favorite microphone is this Manley Ref C. Just sounds great on 95% of people that come in. Amazing on acoustic instruments, mandolin, banjo, acoustic guitar. Definitely my favorite mic. And then I've got the Sony C800G, which is also a favorite.
These are both very expensive mics. Very nice.
I got lucky with the Sony, so I rented it first from Blackbird.
Okay.
And my wife is an amazing singer. Shout out Madison. And she came in, I was like, hey, I need you to sing on this microphone, because I had a website at the time just comparing different microphones and stuff. And then she came in and she sang some Whitney Houston, and as soon as she got done, she was just like,
That's the one.
I understand, you know. And then this is before COVID, so like this is before the prices just went crazy.
Oh, okay.
And so
nice.
I got on Reverb, and I got lucky. I got real lucky. We'll just put it that way. So that's been really cool. I use that with a couple of my biggest artists. It just sounds, nothing sounds like it, you know.
Yeah.
And then this is a recent one that I got here recently. It's a Bee's Knees BU67. It's the version 2, and it's the closest thing that I've heard to a vintage U67.
Oh, nice.
And I've heard all the clones, just, you know, different demos and stuff. But what's cool on the inside, there's different switches to where you can get more of the modern reissue if you want to get that.
Wow.
And also you can remove certain elements on the inside that most people do mods on just to like mess with the tone or whatever. But I like it just stock as like kind of the vintage thing, and definitely a different flavor from the Sony and the Manley.
For sure.
But man, when it works, it's just so warm and intimate. So it's cool just to have a good little array of microphones to choose from, different crayons in the crayon box.
Okay, let me ask you about the building itself.
Yeah.
So was this building already here, and was it renovated?
No, so this was just a 4-car garage. Already had electric and water ran to it.
Oh, nice.
So it was basically a blank canvas. So I went full time in 2006 at a much smaller spot in an old print shop over in West Nashville. And I had just enough room to build a drum room, and then eventually I started to outgrow that room, and I started to look for a house, and I just found this garage that was detached and was a blank canvas. I could just envision it. I drew out the blueprints to it, found just an amazing contractor. They did all the heavy work, and then me and my dad and my grandfather did all the finishing work. So very special place for me, and man, it's just been a great place to create.
Good find in this particular area too. Like to get a space, you know, that's really good find. Is that a closet?
It is. You don't want to see what's in. Yeah, this looks nice out here, but you do not want to see the chaos that's happening in the closet. Yes, that is a closet.
I'm just jealous you have a closet. I mean, you know, somewhere to everything is on like 6 shelves and stacked up and piled under things in my space. It's just
it's definitely a
closet
pile in there.
is a dream.
If my mother-in-law saw it, she'd be like, "We're pulling everything out, and we're gonna reorganize this thing." I'm just like, "Oh, I'm not ready for that," you know.
Well, the day that you get an intern is the day that happens.
Oh, just one more thing to add to the responsibility list. You know?
First off, look at this window. What was it like putting this in here? And did you have a designer or help or anything with this?
So I read all the books, had kind of a general game plan of what needed to happen, and so I've got 2 different thicknesses on the glass panes at an angle, and I hired a glass company and I paid them extra for insurance, like just to have them install it.
Yeah.
And then me and my dad, we got it secured in and everything. So the glass company handled the heavy lifting of it.
Literally.
Literally, and even paid insurance on just in case, you know. And then, we got it all secured in with the wood, and then we did the wrapping, and that was that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a nice part of the studios to have that big of a window.
Yeah, and it's great too, because I'm right there, and then my artist is right here, and it doesn't feel like we're so disconnected while we're recording, but we're getting the optimal, recording separation. Yeah.
That's great. All right, and then you got some panels in here. Are these like Redco custom panels?
Exactly, yeah. This Redco had this custom made. I did my handy dandy photoshopping skills and designed just the layout of everything. And so I knew at some point I wanted to get a hearback system with the Ethernet Cat5.
Yep.
And so it's proven to hold up over time, and 16-foot input XLRs, and I got some direct lines too if I need to run from a head to a cab in here, just no problem to kind of run that through in here. So good eye on the Redco. That was my first time doing anything like soldering wise.
Yeah.
And I got it backwards the first time.
Oh no!
I know. I almost I didn't cry, but it was a very painful moment of like realizing
undoing the solder points.
Yes. Dude,
especially when you're like all proud, you're like, I did a good job. And
then you keep it all clean, you take your time with it, and sure enough, I had the inputs just not
Yeah.
Lessons learned when you do something the first time, you know.
Absolutely.
But I got it all worked out, and it's been great.
That's great. So you built this room, designed it yourself, put in the elbow grease with the family. You've been in here how long, you said?
Since 2009.
2009, okay, wow.
I don't want to do the math on that
That's
right now, but
that's
it's been
that's
a while.
impressive. You were early on this kind of workflow.
Yeah. So I mean, I knew I wanted to do this growing up. So I had like a 4-track cassette recorder, a Roland VS 880EX, which was late 90s. So I made my first CD when I was 16, and this was like 1998. And I remember taking it to school, and people were just blown away because nobody had CDs, their own CD back then. And even just like printing it and holding it in the hallway of my parents' house, I was like, the light bulb moment was like, I could do this for other people someday, you know? So that was a really cool moment. And then I went to MTSU for the recording program. And you know, most people are like all into the big studios and they want to get in there for that. But for me, I was really into the advanced MIDI lab, even though I'm not a piano player. And what was cool about that is you had to do these little projects where you go off into the smaller studio where they had like a little isolation booth, and then they had a computer and just like a little rack of like a couple of microphones and that kind of stuff. And I just realized that you didn't need a whole lot in order to make a big sound.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I started doing the interning thing around town with different, you know, bigger studios. They never gave me an opportunity to like do anything other than just read Mix magazine at the front desk, you know, and get waters. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna, you know, find a small little spot and just start small. And that's how it all worked out.
That's amazing. Well, cool. This is a really sweet, nice live room setup. Oh, you got a little, what's that, 84?
It's the AEA R92.
R92.
The R92 is great because it doesn't have that low end bloom from an 84.
Yeah.
So you can get right up on guitar cabs. Really great on vocals too. I've had some success with that. And even with acoustic guitar, I'll do like the old 184 with that kind of lined up together, and you get some really great blends with that.
That's cool. All right, cool. Well, let's check out the control room, I guess.
Follow me. And of course, we've got the coffee station.
Yeah.
Gotta have that.
Yeah, so you got a bathroom and you got a little coffee hangout here a little bit and some drinks for the clients, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it's not in the control room or...
Yeah, just separate. Just a way to kind of get out and get what you need here.
That's great. Yeah. And separate doors too.
Yeah, I got a double door kind of system. If there was just one door, then you get the kind of whistle from the HVAC, but with the double, it keeps it nice and tight.
That's great.
So here's the control room.
Look at that desk. That's a big boy. When did you get the desk?
So the desk I got as soon as the studio was finished building, and I did not have all this gear. I think I had like my interface, I had a couple of the pieces over here, and then just like over time, I've, you know, whatever my gut was telling me to get, that's what I would add, you know, just a little bit year after year. But the desk was amazing. I definitely wanted like a statement piece when you walked in, and just something for, you know, clients and artists to come up here and sit next to me and have their own little space to hang out.
Yeah, let them know you mean business. This is literally a very big, deep desk. This is the Argosy. You remember the model of it?
Dual 15, dual 18.
You got all kinds of good stuff.
Well, I'll start with what I call my money chain. Most everything gets run through. Everything is hardwired. I don't have a patch bay. Everything has a purpose. So I've got the AMS Neve 1073 going into the purple MC77, going into the CL1B, and then I've got a Pultec EQ on the sidecar to finish it off.
Well, okay, hold on. Let's go back up to this Neve here.
Yeah.
So this is like a kind of an old school Neve module, but it's in this housing. Now, did you get the housing from Vintage King? Is that what it says?
So at the time, they weren't doing a rack-mounted 1073, so you had to go with the module. And I found this Vintage King power supply on eBay, so I was able to kind of piece it together.
But it's got a line trim and 48 volts, which is like the downside of getting the modules. You don't get that, so that's nice that it's You got the trim on there.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, then you can really push the preamp and
Yep.
do what you want.
All right, and then the purple, that's giving you a lot of control on the front end. Now, are you doing one or the other? You like both into each other?
I switch it up. I mean, for
Oh,
things.
this has a bypass.
Yes, a true bypass.
Oh,
so,
cool.
which is amazing, because it really works well on really dense mixes. Not so much for like the intimate type of arrangements, because it does add a little bit of noise floor to it. But the benefit of it is you get a little more of that quick attack, if you need it. And going into the CL1B, it's just kind of nice to have both flavors going at the same time.
Absolutely.
But it kind of depends on the track. If I'm doing bass guitar, I might just, put it in bypass and do just the CL1B.
Yeah.
But obviously for like vocals and anything else that you want to crisp up a little bit more, having this in the chain is super nice.
All right, and now you said money chain. Is that multiple different things, like vocals or acoustic or bass?
It's everything. So a lot of what I'm doing is tracking one thing at a time. So I play drums, guitars, bass, just a little bit of everything. And so I'm tracking one thing at a time. All goes through this chain. And then everything else that you see preamp wise, that's going to be for drums, or if I'm doing like a stereo setup or something for guitars.
Nice. Okay, well, you got some good other pre's here. Let's just highlight some of these. The Pacificas are pre's, right?
Yes.
Those are really good pre's. I've heard great things about those.
Yeah, they're great. I put them on drum overheads, and they're also really great for the direct input. They got that just big old transformer on the front end on it, and man, it sounds great. And then we've got the Ventec Audio X73 and the 273, which, classic Neve 1073 kind of vibe. Got the LA610. This was my first high-end purchase in terms of preamps, and it was like the first thing that made me go, oh, okay, that's how they do it.
Yeah.
What else do I have? I got the API 3124, which snare and toms goes through that.
Oh, nice.
And then here is my mix bus setup. I've got the Rupert Neve Designs 5059 satellite, 16-channel summing mixer, and then that's going into the master bus processor, and then that gets routed back into my DAW through the Apogee Rosetta 800 converters.
Nice.
And then I just keep stacking plugins on top of that inside. But that definitely adds a lot of like that console kind of vibe.
Warmth and fatness and
clarity and just all the buzzwords,
Yep.
It's awesome.
All right, and then tell me about this Pultec. Okay, so I'm a 1A3. I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
What's the difference here between this and like a 1A3?
The 1A3 is a tube-based, and I started off with the tube one, and I just kind of found that it rounded off the top end a little too much for my taste, and maybe it's because I've got other tube components already happening. With tube microphone, tube tech, and so I sent it back and ended up getting I guess it's the 1S3, which is a solid state. Okay. And so what I've kind of found with that is that it's got the Pultec thing, but it just feels sturdier and cleaner. So
nice.
it's been a great addition just to have it passed, after the tube tech, and you can dial in things, and dude, the knobs on this thing just super satisfying and chunky, and it's just good for character, especially if you're doing like a funky bass part. You can crank up the 1K, get kind of a cool thing going on. Guitars, you can do the old Pultec trick, and get what you need with kick and bass. But I've been having more fun with that than I thought I would. I knew I would like it, but it's definitely cool to just get your hands on something while you're creating.
Absolutely. Then you got a cool, like ready to roll guitar setup here. Obviously, it looks like you've been playing guitar for a minute.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a collection here. And I mean, I know how it goes. I think a lot of people watching this also know how it goes. You get a great Gibson that does that thing, and then you go, oh, well, this does this other thing, and then for this kind of stuff, well, actually, I need two.
Well, I mean, it's all tools, Like, I will say this was my first like high-end guitar purchase, and it's still my favorite guitar. Like, if I have to grab one thing out of here, it's like this is the one that's going. But it works on like 90% of stuff that I play, but then it's that other 10% of like, man, it'd be great to have a little Martin. So I've got a little small-bodied, 018 Martin here,
Yeah.
which is so fun to play.
That's the John Mayer thing, right?
His is a triple O. This is a double O right here. This is the birth year of our twins. So
Oh, wow.
that was a good excuse to get a Martin with that. And then this is I think it's a 65 J50, which is basically a J45 natural.
Okay.
And this is like instant, you're in a basement in the 70s, wood paneled, smells a little bit funky. You got the funky colors on the couch. That's this guitar. Instant Casey Musgraves vibes,
cool.
And then I've got a Baby Taylor that I have Nashville tuned, high strung, which is great for that. And then I've got a Yamaha classical guitar. Thought I was gonna play classical music at 16. Ended up loving Jimi Hendrix more. And, but this is good for like, Kenny Chesney type of, beachy kind of stuff too. Got a Gretsch resonator.
Ooh.
Kind of doubles as some dobro vibes as well. And then we got the classic Ganjo from Dean.
I call them banjitars.
So technically that's what it is. It's just
really?
Yeah, it's just more fun to say Ganjo for me.
Ganjo.
Yeah, and then I've got the Lore mandolin, which is awesome because it has a pickup, and I'll run it through my Kemper and pedals and stuff, and just get really unique textures. I always try to find ways to get unique sounds, and that's one of the things. And then electric guitar land started with the Telecaster, and as you can guess, needed a Strat.
Yeah.
Got the SG, got a Dan Electro baritone. Got a Jazz Master, one of the Professional 2 series, which is very sweet. And then I've got the Gibson 335 Dot.
Beautiful.
Which, that guitar and the Tele, I get used the most. Like I was really impressed with how much, just how much I love this guitar and what you can get out of it too. Mm-hmm. Classic road-worn P bass. Yeah, there's really none. I bought this off eBay and just it was good to go,
Yeah.
And then I've got the 5-string Jazz, which is one of the newer additions. So it's kind of cool to have both of those flavors happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I hear this? What's it called? How do you pronounce this? This one?
The Larrivee?
Larrivee. Can I hear a little finger pick kind of thing? What now? You said you're going for this one often, so it must be fairly flexible then, huh?
It is, yeah. And I remember when I bought it, you have to suffer through some tuning here.
No, that's all right.
When I bought it, they had two of the same model.
Ooh, that sounds great.
And I played both of them, and this one, there was something about this one. That's the beauty about, I'm addicted to acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
And it's like artwork. There's only one of a kind. But I played both of them, and there's just something about this one that just resonated through my body. I'm like, okay, this is the one right here.
Beautiful. That big body.
Yeah, and it records great too. You just notch out a little bit of the low end and just sets out perfect.
Larrivee?
I call it Larrivee.
Larrivee, yeah.
I'm not, it could be Larrivee, but Target, which one do you want to go to? You want to go to Larrivee,
I love
it's more fun to say.
Yeah,
if it's more fun to say, I'm going to roll with it.
And then you got the Kemper set up here. How do you come? I've never owned a Kemper, so you have to forgive me. Is it a mono out or is it stereo out?
It could be either.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the cool thing about it. You can run stereo out, and you can get like a stereo delay. The built-in effects are actually really great. So if you're running stereo out, then you can just get this really huge sound stage when you start creating and mixing. But I usually just run it mono, and what I like to do is run mono out and then back into the Neve and through my money chain.
Yeah.
That way you hit some of that saturation on the Neve, and I feel like it gives you a little bit more amp life kind of vibe to it.
I would imagine.
But I've got my very tidy pedal board here, as you can see, keeping it rock and roll, And it's fun just to kind of switch things in and out. Classic
Yeah.
setup for me. Those I think it's exotic effects. I've tried all the volume pedals,
Oh, wow.
and they all break at some
Yeah.
point, and this one has been just amazing. Got the old Dynacomp going into Soul Food, probably my favorite pedal of all time. Got the Mobius for just like weird, wacky effect kind of stuff, and Strymon Dig, Strymon Flint.
Okay, well, I have no Strymon stuff, but
Yeah.
I feel like I want to get them because so many guitar players and producers I know use them. What's going on? What's the difference between the Dig and the Flint?
The Dig is a digital delay, and they have one called the El Capistan, which is a tape delay that I had for a while, but I like the clean type of digital delay here.
Okay.
The Flint, it's a reverb and tremolo. So the reverb has
cool.
a 60s, 70s, and 80s, which is like 60s spring, 70s plate, 80s digital reverb. The
Nice.
80s is very sweet. I like doing that for just like the big, long kind of notes.
Yeah.
The tremolo has 3 different type of tremolo settings, and it's by far the most realistic amp tremolo sounding stuff that I've ever heard. So
Cool.
and I've got various things up here for various flavors. I like using the Boss EQ for just rounded out tone stuff, and
Yep.
yeah.
When did you get the Kemper? Because Kempers really blew up. I remember like what 6-7 years ago.
That's basically when I got it.
Yeah.
Because I have 2 amps in there. I've got a Dr. Z Carmen Gia, and then I've got a Fender DeVille, which I'll still use the DeVille occasionally. But ever since I got the Kemper, and then more importantly the Michael Britt profile packs, that dude's like the king of Kemper tone. So I found a couple, few presets that he has in their profiles, and I've just been locked in ever since.
That's great. Is this something that you like? Have you kept up on whatever updates? I have to imagine there had to have been.
I'm awful at updating, dude.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same way. That's why I'm always
Yeah.
curious. Like, so much of the time I meet working producers who are just like, I flipped it on, and 10 years later, it's still great, and then other people are like, dude, you gotta update the firmware or whatever.
I know they've done several updates, especially with like the effects, and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be like better with like reverbs and that kind of thing. But I don't know, you find something that works and you just stay in that lane so you can just stay creative. I'm horrible at updating
Yeah.
that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
especially when it sounds great. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, it seems a little bit, I don't want to say counterintuitive, but it just seems like you got a guitar amp, it's like plug my guitar amp in to update it. Like I bought it because it does this thing or whatever. But the young kids these days are all like, they're very tuned in to in the box and this new, like okay.
Yeah.
So I always love getting other people's takes on it. That's
Yeah.
cool, man.
I haven't gotten into the in the box stuff. I've got a few plugins, but like the Kemper just does it for me.
Yeah.
And plus, I just like being hands-on. It's
Yeah.
just, it's more fun that way for me.
Yeah, it's nice having it like close to you too.
Yeah.
You can hear it coming right out of the speakers while you sit here and
Yeah, that's the great thing. You just,
dial it in.
yeah, being able to dial it in. I can mess with driving the Neve more, different compression types if I want that. Obviously, the Pultec is fun on it too.
Here's a big question.
Yeah.
I've seen this on your Instagram. What is that? What are you using? The DAW.
So I have been using Motu Digital Performer for forever. And I started on Pro Tools back in the early 2000s. And then, like I was talking about,
You're just
doing
too good
the
for it,
advanced
huh?
MIDI classes, they were all running Digital Performer, like Digital Performer 3 at the time.
Yeah.
And dude, I got so fast and like on it, and I was starting to use it at home too. And I was just like, man, if I ever have my own studio, I'm just gonna do what feels
Yeah.
good to me and roll with it. And
That's cool.
yeah, I've stayed with them ever since.
Looking at it like from this perspective, it looks exactly like Pro Tools. I mean, it looks like maybe 2003 Pro Tools.
Yeah,
But
I get that comment
looks-
a lot. They're like, is that like early Pro Tools? And I'm like, I like a very just like, I don't want fancy graphics.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to focus on being creative.
Yeah.
So anytime they do an update, they try to get fancy. I'm like, no. Let's go
Yeah,
back
yeah,
to that early 2000s vibe.
That's cool.
But I mean, it operates like Pro Tools in a way.
So I had asked you if you could pull something up. Is this an ongoing project?
It is, yeah.
So this is not released, so you can't play the track, right?
Yeah.
But is it possible to like solo up drums just to hear whatever drums you did?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, this was the...
That might be kind of cool.
All right, let me open up that other session here.
Now you said that you are playing instruments on the records that you're doing as well.
Yeah, so for the most part, have artists come to me with songs ready to go and to be recorded, and they come to me to help create their sonic brand. And what's great about me being able to play most of the instrumentation is that they have a lot of input on how things are sounding, and I've always got different ideas with songs, and I'm like, do you like this or this? And as you know, as a drummer, a different drum approach can completely change the song moving forward. So you just kind of get it locked in from there, and I just feed off of the momentum. You know, once you get the drums locked in, I'm cooking. Cool, yeah, I'll play you some track here.
Question. So is the Mo2 your I/O?
So the Mo2 is basically just a pass-through point. Everything is going to the Apogee Rosetta 800s.
Okay.
Light piped ADAT to the Mo2.
Got it.
Then in.
Got it.
And then the Mo2 has a couple of preamps that I use, especially with the talkback. I've got this little handy talkback switch, which clicks on for the Grace, and then comes back off. And then there's a Q mix that helps with like live tracking that you can kind of deep dive in a little bit more, just like a simple routing. As you're playing drums, you can get like the full stereo spread and just kind of pan things around if you need to.
Okay, so we've got some drums here. This is your kit in there, and this is you playing.
Yes.
Okay, but this is like you're in a mix, so this is close to the finish line.
Yeah, this is a mix right here.
Okay, so close to the finish line. So this is like ideal version of what you get when you work in here.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's hear a little bit. Woo! Fat, huge. That's awesome. What are
thick drums? Love them.
Okay, so that's just that setup right there.
Obviously, some samples going on too.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Could I hear that R88?
Yeah.
Is this in there?
Yeah. So I'll do just the rooms for you here.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's cool because you get the length of the room.
Yeah.
Especially with the kick drum, like it just extends. And it just really glues the body of the kit together really well too.
Sounds great, man. Killer. Cool. Thank you for doing this tour with me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Where can people find like some of the stuff that you've worked on, hear some of the music you've produced in here? I would love for them to be able to check it out.
Yeah, so I've got a website, producerdanieldennis.com. I'm also active on Instagram and a little bit on TikTok. We'll see how that goes.
All right.
But that's at producer Daniel Dennis.
Anything that has just recently come out that you want to point people to, or
everything that comes out, it's on my Instagram feed, so just
find
check all that out.
Yeah.
And it's all there. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, thank you again for having us, and we'll see everyone else in the next video.
Cool.
See ya.
See ya.